The sky above Caerthorn was always the color of bruised violets, perpetually overcast, as though mourning something long dead. Beneath its endless gloom, the castle loomed, carved from black stone and wrapped in living brambles that bled when pruned. This was not a kingdom known for its mercy, nor for its beauty. Princess Seralya had never seen a rose. At 16, she was already draped in the spiked regalia of her bloodline, royalty forged by pain. Her mother, Queen Maelris, ruled with a voice like ice cracking over Winter Lake, and a hand never hesitant to draw blood. Love was a forgotten concept in Caerthorn, sacrificed to power long before Seralya's birth. Yet, in the depths of her private chambers, where not even the whispering thorns could hear, Seralya kept an old, water-stained page torn from a foreign book. On it was a painted flower, petals of vivid red, coiled in delicate perfection. Rosa rubiginosa, the faded text beneath it read. A rose. She didn't know where it came from. She only knew that when she looked at it, she didn't feel like a thornblood. She felt hollow and yearning. Soft. Weak, her mother would say. Seralya did not know softness. Until the day the human arrived. The skies raged with storm when they brought him in, a prisoner captured at the borderlands. His name was Kiran, a soldier of the Western realms. He wore no armor when they dragged him into the throne room, only mud and defiance. His hands were bound in chains forged of silver thorn, which cut and healed and cut again with every heartbeat. Queen Maelris looked upon him and saw leverage. "We will bleed your people dry," she had declared. "And you will deliver the message." "I'll deliver nothing for a queen who cages flowers and calls it rule," Kiran had snapped, glancing at the thorn-strangled hall. The court gasped. Maelris didn't strike him. That would have been merciful. Instead, she assigned him to the gardens, the castle's heart of cruelty. There, under the watchful eye of the thorns, humans wasted away, tasked with taming a jungle of biting vines and carnivorous roots. But Seralya was curious. She found him a week later, half-conscious, hands blistered and red with thorn venom. The gardeners gave him no help. The thorns did not heal. He didn't beg. He simply lay among the writhing weeds and hummed a soft tune to himself, something with lilting sadness. She approached quietly, veiled, a spectre in her own land. "You are dying," she said. "I was dying the moment I stepped into this cursed land," he replied. "But look," he raised a shaking hand and pointed toward the corner of a raised bed. Something pale shimmered through the vine tangle. "That plant, it's not yours, is it?" Seralya knelt, pushing aside the slithering bramble. There, hidden among the thorns, a single green stalk rose, capped with a tightly curled bud the color of blood-red wine. "It bloomed," he whispered. "Even here." Something stirred in her chest. Not power. Not pride. Something older. She summoned her guard and had Kiran moved to a private hothouse deep within the castle, where no eyes could spy. It was an ancient place, long sealed, where the thorns grew weak from lack of light. There, she ordered him to plant more. "Bring life to this place," she said. He laughed. "Even if I could, why would you want that?" She didn't answer. She only handed him the torn page of the rose and left. Over the following moons, he worked in secret. At first, nothing took root. The soil was bitter with centuries of poison, and the thorns reached in through cracks to devour anything tender. But Kiran was patient. He mixed soils with ash and old bone, he warmed the hothouse with braziers of captured sun fire, and he spoke to the seeds. Seralya watched it all. "You whisper to them like they can hear." "Everything living listens," he said, when spoken to kindly. She scoffed but didn't correct him. Each day, she stayed longer. They began to speak, of flowers and myths, of books and songs. Of freedom. "You were raised to inherit a kingdom," he said one night, beneath the flicker of lanterns. "Yes," she said bitterly. A kingdom that bleeds its daughters and sows its sons into the soil. And yet you come here, where something new grows. She looked away, unsure of herself for the first time in years. By the 3rd month, roses bloomed. They unfurled like secrets long buried, crimson, gold, ivory, even black. Each one shimmered with dew, radiant against the choking grey of carethorn. Seralya wept the first time she touched one and it didn't bite back. But roses cannot stay hidden forever. One day, a servant strayed into the hothouse and fled in terror at the sight of colour. The queen arrived the next night, her guards smashing lanterns, tearing vines, burning blossoms. "You disgrace your blood," Melris hissed, striking Seralya across the cheek. "You let him plant weakness in our soil." "They're not weakness," Seralya shouted. "They are beauty." The queen raised her hand again, but Kiran stepped between them. "She's not yours to break." Melris stared at him, then smiled with cold malice. "Then die her martyr." But before the order fell, something unexpected happened. The thorns recoiled. Across the floor, up the walls, along the queen's own throne, the brambles hissed and retreated. The castle groaned. It was as if the roses had awakened something in the very bones of the keep. And Seralya, standing in the wreckage of blooms, understood. The thorns were not her inheritance. The soil was. Kiran was imprisoned. Again. But this time, the roots grew restless. Word spread among the servants. The soldiers. Even the elder nobles, who remembered a time before thorns ruled their lives. And Seralya, princess no more, began to walk among her people without veil or crown. She tended to the wounded, spoke to the silent, and beneath her feet, wherever she stepped, roses grew. The thorns pulled back. Her bloodline had always commanded growth. It was simply that pain had been all the court had known. She chose otherwise. On the night of her coronation, the sky above Carethorn broke its centuries-long vow of gloom. Stars glittered through parting clouds. The castle no longer loomed, but shimmered, its stones washed of blood, its towers crowned in vines of white roses. Queen Melris never returned after the uprising. Some say she wandered into the woods of her ancestors, where the thorns welcomed her back. Others say the roots swallowed her whole. But Seralya stood atop the steps of the great hall, a rose carved into her crown, and addressed a kingdom no longer bent in fear. "I was raised among barbs," she said, "but I now see that even thorns crave the kiss of light. This kingdom will bloom, not because we forget what we were, but because we choose what we can become." And from the back of the crowd, Kiran smiled, no longer a prisoner, but a gardener of peace. Roses, it turned out, were contagious. They spread through the land, slowly, reclaiming soil scarred by war. Children wove them into crowns. Soldiers planted them by graves. And in the castle garden, under a sky no longer violet with sorrow, Seralya and Kiran walked hand in hand. Not a princess and a prisoner, but a queen and her blooming kingdom.